talking about my comic Venerella and the music behind it and the inspiration that I listen to when I'm creating such comics. And how about just the way music has been featured in comics, for like since 1976 specifically. However, I also want to talk about metal. I was influenced by a lot of metal when I was creating and drawing and writing Venerella, and I used some metal of my own and a special guest that we used to create the evil, mystical, fantasy, horrific world that is Venerella number one. I'm going to bring in a guest of mine. His name is Jeff Rankin.
Hola.
Jeff Rankin, I think you know a little bit about rock music, and more specifically, besides that Evergrey t-shirt you're sporting, I know you know a little bit about metal. I believe that you recorded some tracks or an album with a metal band called Deny the Fallen. And I'm pretty sure that for the last 20 years, you've been in bands. Metropolis Rising is one of them. And then a band called Luna Dementia, with a variety of casts of thousands in these bands. But there was one guy that was in the band all this time, over 20 years, both those bands. The only reliable foundation of those bands, these singers and these songwriters, that would be me. Jeff and I, Jeff over here, Jeff gave me give me a fist bump, Jeff. Look at that. Oh yeah. But we've been playing in rock and metal bands for many, many years. I want to show you something. I want to show you why we're talking about metal tonight. I love metal. Metal, hard rock music inspired Venerella. Okay. And Venerella number one is now, I'm going to share screen with you. We're going to see a little bit of Venerella if you're not familiar. Venerella is a blood-fueled cosmic rocket ride with a vampire warrior princess from Venus. Venerella is being crowdfunded on Indiegogo by me, Anthony Sica. I got 28 days left. I'm 233% of my $500 flexible goal, so I'm doing great. I've raised $1,166. I wish that was $1,666. Let's see if we can get it there, ladies and gentlemen. With 17 backers, 28 days left. I have packages starting at $15. You get your choice of 5 covers. I have a $30 5-book bundle package, and I have 1 page of original art left, page 17. It's at the edge of 17, to quote Stevie Nicks. $100 gets you an 11 by 17 copy, the original art, not a copy. It's the original art of page 17 in Venerella number one. And by the way, I had a bunch of other original art in there, and it's all sold out. Okay, here's some of the covers you get to choose from, and the link to the crowdfunding page on Indiegogo for Venerella. See, look at this. For $30, you get all 5 variant covers, 2 6x9 prints, 3 trading cards, exclusive to backers for $30. Now, why? Here's a look at some of the covers as I scroll back up. Now, Jeff, the campaign so far has done very successful, better than my last campaign, but I have a feeling this is the real reason why it's taken off.
Now I know I've almost reached the end. By the dawn, I'll be dead.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Rankin on guitar right now. "32 pages, and when you back, you get this MP3 of Vampire Bride, written by me, performed by Luna Dementia. Free, baby."
I've always loved that song.
It's not bad, right?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. That was a great tune.
You would know. You played on it, buddy.
Was I? I might have had a little dementia.
I know. Well, anyway, that song, I wrote that song before joining Luna Dementia, but with the wonderful guitar prowess of Mr. Jeff Rankin and a drummer named Ricardo Melendez, and me on bass and vocals, we recorded that song, Luna Dementia, and the song's called Vampire Bride. And guess what? Venerella indeed is a vampire. Now, if she's a bride or not, you're going to have to wait to read issue number 1. I know that Pop Culture Avenger, he's going to be learning that story because he's a backer. Hail Anthony coming down with Sica Hall. Hail Jeff Rankin. I'm coming down with the Sica, and we're hailing Jeff Rankin. That song rocks. Thank you very much, Pop Culture Avenger. Pop Culture Avenger likes that song. Again, we got a comic book creator like myself, who's also a musician, bass player, songwriter, vocalist, teaming up with this guy, provides a perfect soundtrack for crowdfunding Venerella #1. Now, not only do we use songs as soundtracks for Indiegogo trailers, but sometimes they're for inspiration. But my segue is talking about inspiration. We're now being joined by another fellow creator and a musician, and the author, more importantly, of Tinseltown, available on Alterna Comics right now. Like to put your hands together for Mr. David Lucarelli.
Hey guys, good to see you.
David, how you doing? David, let me introduce you to my friend over here. His name is Mr. Jeffrey Rankin.
What's up, David?
Nice to meet you, man. I dig the tune. Very cool.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. And David Lucarelli, he is of course referring to the trailer track that I just played called Vampire Bride by a band called Luna Dementia, which I was in with this guy over here. Again, songs about a vampire warrior princess from Venus. She's a badass. And by the way, she's very metal. And she was inspired by me listening to metal and seeing fantasy covers and all that jazz. But Mr. David Lucarelli down there, he is the creator, writer of Tinseltown. However, and I will be sharing your Etsy shop in a little bit, David, so people can find all your wares, including some music bundles by Dame Fortune, your band, correct?
That's right. Yeah, I play guitar in my own band as well.
Awesome.
And I know that taking a little side track moment to go off on a little tangent. I happen to know that your band, Dame Fortune, sounds a lot like our band because I think we're influenced by a lot of the same stuff.
I think so. Yeah. Kiss, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, the classics.
Yep. And there's shredding and clean vocals. However, when I started writing Venerella on Indiegogo right now, and by the way, let me take this moment to say this broadcast, this YouTube stream, this shite is not for children. So if you are watching children, go play some Fortnite or watch some reaction videos, okay? Go away. It's time for bed. But this is for adults who never grow up, this channel. And if you like this channel, you're watching it for the first time, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and also hit the little bell so you can get notifications. And by the way, please like this video, watch it in the replay, tell your friends, whatever. Let me just, before we go on, gentlemen, let me just say hello to some folks. Pop Culture Avenger says, hail David. Pop Culture in the house. We got 24 Eyes, Outcast Owls Live. Hello, 24 Eyes. Nice to see you again. Pop Culture Avenger, hello at 24 Eyes. 24 Eyes is what? 12 people, I guess. So there you go. North Free, hail Anthony, Jeff, David at 24 Eyes, A24 Eyes, and Pop Culture Avenger. Look at how it was nice for North Free to actually type out Outcast Owls Live after the A24. You know what? It's this kind of, just cordial behavior that I just love on this show. And then 24 Eyes says, hi, Pop Culture, blah, blah. Is this a thing? Do you guys all have to say hello to each other all the time? No, I appreciate it. I don't have any super chats. I don't even have any mediocre chats. So I love the chats when you guys leave them. But anyway, getting back to David Lucarelli. David, are you playing? Is your band doing anything right now?
We're not really functional in terms of being a playing band right now.
Jeff and I know how that is. Yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a number of years ago, our drummer was killed in a car accident, and since then, we haven't played any live shows. But I actually did just release a new song under the name Dame Fortune, called Rock and Roll Has Just Begun, and put out a video for it. So it's on all the various music channels, and it's pretty much me doing everything. But Kevin Valentine, if you're familiar with him, Kiss's ghost drummer, is playing drums on that. So that's pretty cool.
Sweet.
Okay. I was going to make a ghost drummer thing with your drummer that passed away, but I thought that was inappropriate. So
yeah.
You said ghost drummer. I was like, ah. Anyway, no, but what's the name of the song again?
It's called Rock and Roll Has Just Begun.
And Rock and Roll Has Just Begun. Can you find that on the YouTubes?
You can, actually.
Oh, right.
You want to?
And it's under Dame Fortune, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Wonderful. And then on a side note, Jeff and I, as I was saying before before David jumped on, Jeff and I, for the last 20 years, played in 2 metal bands with various drummers, more drummers than I have fingers on my hands, different people. About 12 years ago, we had no bass player. I picked up the bass. I started playing bass, and the rest is history. We've recorded 4 records since then.
Nice.
Got to open for some folks like Blue Oyster Cult and some cool stuff like that. But again, drummer issues in both Luna Dementia and Metropolis Rising led to some hiatuses. And then, of course, the pandemic didn't help much.
Of course.
We recently recorded a song called Rocket Ship with a different drummer, which had more of an Ace Frehley Kiss sound.
Yeah, I dug that one too. That was very cool.
Very
cool, man.
And now Jeff and I are working on some. We're going really hard with some down-tuned stuff.
Okay.
And then we're also writing on acoustic to get different textures and just different colors to the shape of the music we're writing. And that's all. Just and we do plan on getting a little heavy. Mm-hmm. Besides in our waistline, and but we brought out the acoustics, and we're writing some new stuff like that too. So it's going to have a range. Jeff might add some keys because we don't have any plans to play it live right now. However, we are getting a little itchy. So I think it'll be nice we'll write some things that we can perform as a power trio with a drummer and go from there. But you know, you write a book called Tinseltown.
Yes.
Which is, of course, set in 1918. Is that where we are currently?
Currently, we're about 1917.
Okay, so 1917, there's not a lot of rock or heavy metal being played. Do you listen? But what I want to know is, as a creator, when you're writing or creating or conceptualizing, you're not an artist, but as a writer, do you ever have music playing in the background, and what type is it?
Yeah, you know, it's funny for Tinseltown. I actually put together a playlist of some of the hits, the contemporary hits of like 1916, 1917. Not necessarily to listen to it as I was writing, but just to kind of get myself in the mindset of what the popular zeitgeist was at the time.
Right. And that brings me perfect segue to why I entitled this Comics and Metal specifically. When I put down on paper the first sketch of Venerella, who is, again, a vampire warrior princess from Venus, set in the year 2060 or whatever, all I can think of was, and she's from Venus, so all I can think of is lava and fire, and she's a vampire, and she's got red skin, very much like Purgatory from Brian Pulido, Jim Ballant, Chaos Days. She has that skin color. She's very bizarre, very tough, in a royal family, very much like the Amazonians. They're from Venus, but they have to kick ass. And it's a mixture of Conan the Barbarian type fantasy and sci-fi. And if anyone's seen my splash page, which I had up for sale on my crowdfunding, but it sold the very first backer, my splash page 1 has Venerella floating with a big bubble type fishbowl space helmet that you would see in Barbarella or Flash Gordon. I almost said Flesh Gordon, same thing. But the thing is that I wanted it to have a kind of vintage 60s pop pulp fiction type covers.
Sure.
But in my head, but in my ears and my my audio memory, all I could think of was Slayer and, surprisingly, Yngwie Malmsteen.
Okay.
Especially when you listen to Queen in Love. The new band Ginger, which I've been listening to. And then I've been watching this, the Big Four.
Oh, yeah.
Live from Bulgaria. Big Four concert. And then some more Slayer, Rain and Blood. And the more evil, the better. I also am thinking Dio, all kinds of stuff like that. And also Frehley's Comet.
Okay.
And most notably, Trouble Walking, Frehley's Comet, and then Fractured, all the Kiss stuff, the little instrumentals, just that whole, and 2000 Man even, which, you know, is a Rolling Stone song covered by Ace with Kiss. So I have those audio images in my head. It's music that transcends audio and hits your visual stimulus, you know?
Okay. So no Judas Priest Love Bites or Always Near You, Nowhere to Hide from the Gene solo album.
See, you're giving me future stuff to think about.
Yeah. That's kind of vampiric, you know?
Yeah. And again, you know, with that, I'm gonna give a nice recap of, you know, when I first realized comics and music, especially metal or hard rock, was so entwined. What was it, 1976? Kiss putting their blood in the Marvel Comics comic, and Phantom of the Park and all the media that was associated with the rock music. That at a very young age, I saw that. Also, let's talk about Kiss for a minute. Gene Simmons, whether it's his Doctor Strange or Spider-Man hand gesture,
right,
or it's his Inhumans Black Bolt wings,
sure,
or just the general kabuki style.
Not to mention, he thanks Stan Lee and Jack Kirby on the back of 78 solo.
Of course, and then you have all the Kelly Jones covers and the Boris covers and all the Julie Bell covers, all the Frazetta, all the folks using covers on albums. And don't forget, what is it, Derek Riggs, Iron Maiden, all those.
Ken Kelly, Love Gun.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I said? I said Kelly Jones, who is the artist of Batman.
Right.
No, you're right, Kevin Kelly. But the point is Ken Kelly.
Yeah.
All those folks, they all combine the whole comic book thing and the rock thing. That hasn't changed. I mean, over the years, we've had Veronica and all the Glenn Danzig stuff. We've had rock and roll comics in general, the biography. And I mean, honestly, DC in the last 4 years, their two mini series and all the tie-ins, you had metal and you had death metal. Those were their big sellers. And Greg Capullo being the artist on both those projects, Greg Capullo did the cover of Iced Earth Records. He did the cover of Disturbed Records, and he is a member of Zakk Wylde's Black Label Society. He has a jacket with the rocker on the back, and he plays all his guitars. And when he's not drawing Batman or DC characters or his crowdfunding characters or Spawn, he is constantly shredding and doing solos on Instagram and all that. Those are popular DC titles, metal and death metal. The actual comics you don't hear anything in them, but there is an album that they released as a soundtrack to the comic book series. But also, when you look at the comics, you have Wonder Woman with a chainsaw, and you have a long-haired Superman who looks like he's in Shadows Fall or David Lucarelli. And Superman's got chains and long hair and jeans. It's like Lobo and Superman combined. And then you have Batman with axes and swords, going all Conan-like, instead of a long, he's wearing a duster instead of a cape. And it's not like a duster like Zack Snyder dirty duster. It's a long black leather duster. And even the Batman Who Laughs, which started off all these death and death metal series for DC, when you're talking about mainstream comics, his whole visage was as death metal and as metal as fuck as you get. And hey, I Am the Law, Anthrax,
Oh, yeah.
Judge Dredd, 2000 AD, all the British comics that Scott Ian and Frank Benante and all those guys just loved. And they're still big comic fans. In fact, Alex Ross has done at least the last 3 or 4 covers for them, the covers of their albums. And let's even go, I mean, David, you're a big fan of Monster Magnet, right?
Oh, yeah.
You got Ego, the Living Planet. You got
the song Plastic, or Melt rather, where he says, I remember thinking that the whole world should have cried on the day Jack Kirby died.
Right. I mean, these are, this is reverse engineering. This is now music being inspired by comic books. We can go to Silver Surfer on the cover of Joe Satriani's Surfing with the Alien.
Oh, yeah.
But also, Monster Magnet has another song on that very album. In addition to Ego, the Living Planet, there's another actual song title that references a comic book? No.
I'm trying to think. I was thinking The Birds, 8 Miles High.
Oh yeah,
Superman
sure.
and Green
Sure.
Lantern, Ain't Got Nothing on Me. I mean,
Yeah.
Sabbath, Iron Man. I know it's not exactly the same, but certainly it was contemporary.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, and in our case, Jeff and I were in a band called Metropolis Rising. We have a song actually called Gotham, which is all about Batman and Bruce Wayne. And
got away with it.
I mentioned all the
listening.
What?
And we got away with it with all the listeners that were going on that one.
Hey, it was on Spotify and iTunes and iHeart. It's all right.
Batman.
You can name drop shit. DC don't got no shit on me.
All right. Well, as long as we're going there, Dame Fortune has a song called V for Vendetta, inspired by the graphic novel before the movie. And then I did another song. Dame Fortune has another song called The Days Are Just Packed, which was directly inspired by Calvin and Hobbes. So
nice. Well, now I'm going to sound like Alan Moore and say, how dare you turn my writing into any other medium but the comic book? How dare you?
I think Alan just gets mad when mega corporations just destroy his properties.
Yes,
and, I think he'd be flattered by the small time Joes that give him a little nod of the hat.
We also recorded a song called Morning Star, which I was referencing Lucifer Morningstar from Neil Gaiman's Sandman. And then we also, by the way, the name of the band was Metropolis Rising. So there you go there too. It was part Superman, part Dream Theater, part the
Metropolis.
Fritz Lang Metropolis too.
Sure.
But it didn't go over anyone's head, pun intended, that the name of the band was Metropolis, and we had a song called Gotham. So there you go. But the thing is getting back to when I'm drawing my kick-ass vampire warrior princess from Venus, I'm listening to the Slayer, I'm listening to the Ace Frehley, I'm listening to Arch Enemy, I'm listening to even female-fronted metal bands, because I want that image in my head of a Valkyrie, part siren.
Are you familiar with the Wendell Williams solo album that Gene Simmons produced called Wow?
I am not familiar. However, I am familiar with Wendell Williams' Black Electrical Tape.
Okay, you must listen to this album because it's basically like a long lost Kiss album. The bass playing is credited to Reginald Van Helsing, which is actually all Gene Simmons, and Paul Stanley, Ace Frehley, Eric Carr all have guest appearances on the record, and it's basically like a Kiss album that Wendell Williams does the vocals for.
That's very odd. I was not aware of that. So I'm just going to say, wow. Speaking of Wendell Williams, Butcher Babies, female fronted metal band. Carla Harvey, the lead singer of the Butcher Babies, who happens to be dating Charlie Benante from Anthrax. She's big Kiss fan, big Guns N' Roses fan, fronts the metal band Butcher Babies. Butcher Babies, of course, named after a Wendy O. Williams Plasmatics song. Greg Capullo actually used both her visage and her hair color and characteristics as the model for Wonder Woman in his death metal series with Scott Snyder.
Interesting.
But enough about the Butcher Babies and Charlie Benante and Alex Ross.
Wait, I just thought of one more.
Go ahead.
Veruca Salt, Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah, the actual song Spider-Man, right? Yeah. Veruca Salt. That was a great band.
The first album is phenomenal.
Yeah, Nina Gordon, and I don't remember the other girl's name, but man, they were good.
Yeah.
Very good. Jeff is falling asleep. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Jeff's thinking of chocolate because we said Veruca Salt. And for any of you kids out there, Veruca Salt is a band and a character in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yes.
She died. Spoiler, I think she died, right? Did she die?
Is she the one that dies? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. She was a brat though.
Yeah.
But you know who's not a brat? David Lucarelli, who is the author of Tinseltown. Oh, and by the way, and the tie-in here is I'm sorry, David, I'm going to butcher the Vampire School book that you have.
Oh,
what was it called?
Yeah. Children's Vampire Hunting Brigade. I did my own vampire comic as well.
Yes, he did his own vampire comic. Now, my vampires are from Venus. His are from Mars. But other than that, and
or Scotland. Yeah.
And yeah, well, I was making a Venus-Mars thing. But anyway, look at Hollywood Vampire t-shirt that he wore in honor of tonight's broadcast, too.
Well, coming at you live from Hollywood. So
Hollywood Vampires, of course. What is that? Johnny Depp, Alice Cooper. Who else is in that?
Joe Perry.
Joe Perry. Yeah. Yep. Amber Heard isn't in that band, though, I don't think. Right?
I don't think she's, yeah.
She probably gets money from the band, but she's not in the band. Oh, look at who else is here. Wait a minute. Who else do we got here? Oh, no, we don't have anybody. I thought I was getting someone else in. I'm gonna show these folks where they can pick up stuff from David Lucarelli.
Cool.
You don't mind, do you, David?
Not a bit.
All right. And speaking of a guy who's a comic creator and has musical references, everybody take a look at the name of his Etsy shop. It's Abacab Studios, famous Genesis song. But anyway, look at this. You can get Tinseltown. You can get the Children's Vampire Hunting Brigade. You can get some Lovecraftian inspired stuff here. You can get a vampire with iron teeth face mask. And look at this. You get the Dame Fortune music bundle right there. David, is that you in the front there?
That is me.
What do you got around your neck?
That's just, some metal and leather accoutrement.
I gotcha. All right. And of course, guys, David, he is in Hollywood. So look at that. Look at that gothic. I'm going to kill you. Look, he's showing you. We got, so anyway, go to Etsy.com and go search Abacab Studios. And you'll find all sorts of great comic books and even some music from Dame Fortune. Now, David, the bundle for $35.
Yeah.
Is that older stuff?
So what you get with that is you get all 3 albums that we put out.
Okay.
You actually get a DVD that has live footage and a making of one of the albums documentary. And then we also send you digitally all the music plus any music that we've done since then. So
I gotcha. And and I'm sorry, I was reading the comments. Beg my pardon. The new song, is that on that shop at all, or you just go listen to that on YouTube's and the
Yeah, that's called Rock and Roll Has Just Begun.
Okay. I'm looking at some of the comments. We got North Free Heavy Metal Fan here. Your comics look interesting. North Free, thank you. Both my comics and especially David Lucarelli's comics are hella interesting. Mine are a little bit more metal. His are set in 1917. So
well, the Brigade is a little more metal, I would say.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Pop Culture Avenger, I played the drums back in the day. And by the way, guys, when you read comics, if they have a certain aesthetic to them, whether it's your 19, like when I read Tinseltown, I'm hearing like flapper music playing.
Oh yeah.
Like Star Wars Cantina, but 1917, kind of clarinet horns. Sometimes I hear some jazz with some stand-up bass, maybe some piano.
Yeah, a little hokum pop music.
Right, right. And
Yeah.
when you listen to my band, my and Jeff's, or I'm sorry, when you read my comic, I want you to hear some Danzig or some Slayer or some Arch Enemy or something really, loud. Shadows Fall, even Iron Maiden. I want you to see. The thing is, that's the thing. When I was conceiving Venerella, when I was thinking about what kind of soundtrack would accompany it, I thought about either really hardcore modern stuff or really cheesy, like I'm riding a unicorn slaying dragons type shit, like
Man of War power metal.
Exactly. Man of War power
Which
metal.
is great, by the way. I don't mean to disparage.
No. That's Jeff's entire collection.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is it has a bit of graphics on the side of your van quality.
Yeah.
Ace Frehley, Rock Soldiers, that's right, and Pop Culture. We are indeed 3 rock soldiers. I'm glad we're being joined by more. Got Ahoy Mates and Mermaids. Oh, hey, Captain Comics, nice to see you in the chat. Got a lot of people chatting tonight. Daytona Falls, my buddy in Daytona. Daytona Falls, I didn't mean to skip over you, but hey, ooh, sounds great, guys. Thank you. Daytona Falls, always a valued chat member. Malmsteen, I am a Viking.
Yes.
There we go. Pop Culture Avenger knows where it's at. What's up, Pop? Hail. My first memory of Gene Simmons was him breathing fire in the movie they did. That's right. That was Phantom of the Park.
Yeah.
And I remember being a kid, staying up late to watch that and thinking that was the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Now at the age of 50.
Now it's the best thing you've ever seen in your
life.
Exactly.
Yeah. Especially we like the African-American Ace Frehley, who's 7 feet tall in one of the scenes. We like how Peter, Chris, and Ace couldn't record their audio, so they had dubbed voices. A lot of good stuff, but I always remember that star coming out of Paul's eyes, going do 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 do, and bouncing off the guitar. Oh my God, the greatest.
They were trying to make that a stage effect after the movie on the Dynasty tour, and they built like a laser system, like a thing for him to wear, but they couldn't figure out a safe way to do it without like potentially blinding him, so they had to drop the gag. But it would have been amazing if they could have pulled that off live on stage.
Look at this. We got Matt Barr in the chat. Matt Barr, who is the artist for Rock and Roll Ninja.
Nice.
Amongst other many projects that he's doing. He's lettering a comic called The Goblin Girl. I had the creators of that character and issue number 1 that's also out on Indiegogo and is tearing it up, by the way.
Nice.
Matt Barr works with Billy Basco and Dan Pleagle on The Goblin Girl. They were on my show last week. Hello, Matt. Matt, of course, works with Richard C. Meyer and Chuck Dixon, by the way, who co-writes Rock and Roll Ninja. So, Matt, nice to see you on my chat. Both humbled and proud to have you on the chat. Pop Culture says, hello, Matt Barr. North Free throws in, I loved Alex Ross since Marvels. That's right. And Alex Ross is a guy that, of course, is one of the most, famous, well-known, lucrative, professionals working in comics as far as covers go. Marvel's Kingdom Come, lots of album covers. I know your way, David, every time they got San Diego Comic-Con, I know that San Diego is covered in his art.
Oh, yeah. He's always there. Yeah, he's always selling.
Specially commissioned even for Comic-Con. And again, does a lot of metal covers. I know he's done at least four Anthrax covers. Okay. And I guarantee you, if you looked him up on Google, he's done more covers by other bands. Just like, as I was saying, Greg Capullo. Spawn cover, Spawn soundtrack. It wasn't the soundtrack of the movie, but it was the music of Spawn. Of course, Iced Earth, Disturbed, many album covers by many artists. And by the way, a lot of comic book artists get into drawing covers for rock bands, for albums. Comicsgate's own Ethan Van Sciver of Cyberfrog fame, he did a cover of a Winger album. You know,
I did not know that.
Yes, he did a cover of a Winger album. So, you know, and of course, nothing says comics and metal like Mr. Riggs, the artist of Eddie and all the Iron Maiden records. Just phenomenal.
You know, speaking of, I don't know if you guys noticed, I'm a big Motley Crue fan. They just announced there's going to be a graphic novel coming out called The Dirt Confidential,
Yes,
which postulates that the entire time throughout Motley Crue's career, being a rock band was just a front, and they were actually this underground secret organization that was tasked with, like, you know, covertly saving the world or something.
Sure.
And I was just like, take my money, please.
Yeah.
All right. Yes.
And the stuff that Kiss did in the early 2000s, with Image Comics, when they had, you know, it was all dark and they were mystical and stuff.
Psycho Circus stuff, definitely the high watermark. Yeah.
And some of that stuff, I think, Jeff, you have an anthology or an omnibus of those Kiss comics that I was talking about.
Yeah.
But again, and they were one of the first ones, you know, they were in Marvel Comics in 76, 77, whenever it was.
But they debuted in Howard the Duck.
That's right. They did debut.
Like snuck them in at the end of one issue and the beginning of another.
And speaking of Howard the Duck, and before that, Alice Cooper was in Marvel Comics.
Yes.
Appearing as Alice Cooper in very Doctor Strange type occult mystery type stuff, you know.
Not to mention he got Neil Gaiman to do the Last Temptation of Alice Cooper graphic novel that tied in with his concept album.
Yes, we could go all day long on all those tie-ins, and you're right, Neil Gaiman. Again, rock music, metal, even pop music, inspiring creators to draw, to write, to you know, in comic books. Comics is a visual medium, but if you have an audio or an audio inspiration, then it brings out the visual from your hands. If you're listening to some death metal, you're going to write a barbarian on a horse with a big axe ready to kill you. If you're listening to soft new age music, you're going to maybe draw, or in my case, I'll draw a woman naked laying in the fields, maybe sniffing a flower, or another naked woman. Same thing. But Marvel Premiere issue 1, I think. Marvel Premiere issue, I think, for Alice Cooper. That is correct. Pop Culture Avenger is old as we are, I guess. Probably not more lucrative than Pop Culture Avenger, just cooler. Okay, well, yeah, well, there you go. I think that was a diss on Kiss, but that's okay.
No, I think that was a response to album covers, more lucrative than a comic cover.
My apologies. Looks like the band from The Crow. I think he's referring to us.
I think maybe, yeah, or the band photo when you showed my site. Yeah,
that's true. Oh, yeah. Yes. Thank you, David, for saving me from my awkward responses.
I'm just keeping you in line, man.
Yeah. You know what? I had a long day at work, and I need to be kept in line. But see, I'm just so ecstatic because Venerella is doing so well on Indiegogo. I have 28 days left. I've already passed. I think I was at $1,166. To go with tonight's episode, it would have been better if it was $1,666. We get the 666 number, the beast thing going.
Well, I backed it today,
I know. Thank you very much, David.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you very much. I'm not going to ask Jeff Rankin to back this book because he featured guitar on the trailer for the whole campaign.
That's fair.
And in Misty America, I did make him buy a copy, and he was one of the featured characters. So there you go.
Oh well, you should you should own the book that has yourself in it.
Well, that's what I figured. But with friends like me, who needs bandmates? So Jeff and I have been playing, as I said, for 20 years. We've been through probably 8 drummers, and a partridge in a pear tree. Drummers.
So you have the drummer that plays in like a million other bands, so you can never rehearse with them.
Well, yeah, that's the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
then you've had the drummer that never played the same song the same way twice.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we should go. I mean, when we talk about our early days, though, I mean, when we talk about drummers, I mean, let's start from the truth that where Anthony came from. He was really the main frontman. He didn't play an instrument, right? So we were filled with all these musicians, and it was like, okay, well, drummers suck. We can't keep a freaking bass player. And then this guy played drums and bass, and then next thing you know, he's throwing on the 4-string, and it's been great. We don't ever have to worry about bass players ever again.
That's what's funny. Jeff and I, we ran out of a drummer and bass player, right? So because I started my life playing music as a drummer, we actually recorded a whole album with just me and Jeff, and he played bass and guitar. Although I don't think I can actually find the bass on the album. He played like "And Justice for All" bass on the record.
Yeah.
I think he just
EQ'd it right out of there. Huh?
I think he did a double guitar and just made it like turn the bass up on it, because I don't remember hearing any bass. But I played the drums, did all the singing, and then we finally found a drummer, and then we had no bass player. So then I picked up the bass, and as I said, the rest is history. We recorded 3 albums in the last 12 years like that. Yeah. And we had an album just before, and we played lots of shows. But I'm going to get back. I want to ask you some questions, David. I told you I'd let you go around 9:00. First off, tell the people about Tinseltown, please.
Yeah, so Tinseltown is a period crime drama. It's about one of the first female police officers in Hollywood. And it's inspired by some real life circumstances. Around 1915, 16, 17, Universal Studios was kind of a semi-autonomous city, and they were sort of a proto-feminist organization in that they had a female mayor, female police chief, female police officers, but they also weren't above exploiting those female police officers by marching them in parades and short skirts. And point of fact, they sort of functioned a cross between lot security guards and people that were there to sort of amuse and assist the tourists. And then in real life, my mother was a police officer in Pittsburgh for 20 years. So this book is also kind of my tribute to her.
And now, of course, you can find that by going to the Alterna Comics website. You can order back issues of Tinseltown. The new volume 2 of Tinseltown, Losing the Light. What do we have? I forget. I ordered it and I read the book, but we on issue 3 coming out, or issue 4?
Issue 3 is out. Issue 4 will be coming out with a new winter bundle. Right. And then the final issue will probably be coming out this spring.
Is Pete still Pete Simetti from Alterna Comics, as who I was referring to? Is he still crowdfunding that on Indiegogo right now, or is that over?
It is. Yeah. So like, I forget what the delineation is. The active campaign is done, but you can still back it.
Yes, it's what's called in demand.
In demand. There you go. Yeah.
So please go to alternacomics.com, pick up all the back issues of Tinseltown by David Lucarelli, and after you get all the back issues, you have to do it. Like the first, what is there? 5 issues in the first volume, right?
5 issues. Yeah.
So you have 8 issues out altogether.
Correct. And actually 9.
9
It will
counting
be
that
9 issues counting the new one coming out.
So there's 8 back issues available. Go get them all. And then go get the winter bundle. Tinseltown is amazing. Look, Pop Culture Avenger said, I got the winter bundle. Cool. I'll get Tinseltown.
Awesome.
And Pop Culture Avenger, if you go to Alterna Comics website, you can get back issues of Tinseltown for as low, I think, as $2.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
He's got scratch and dent deals, and then he's got, I think, the book's normally $1.99 anyway, right?
Yeah, that's correct. It's printed on newsprint if you're not familiar with Alterna.
And it's wonderful because it smells, feels, and looks like a real comic book.
Exactly.
Alterna Comics is your alternative to mainstream comics. Wonderful titles, wonderful creators like David Lucarelli. David, do you play electric?
I do. Yeah, my guitar of choice is Gibson Silverburst.
Nice. And you play acoustic also?
Yeah, I've got a Takamine hanging on the wall there.
And are you a lead or rhythm player, would you describe, or both?
I can do both. I mean, I'm not, I'm no Yngwie Malmsteen, but I can do both.
Like this guy, he's an Yngwie. He shreds. Oh, you shred. Don't lie. Don't lie. Anyway, Jeff, what's your favorite brand of guitar?
Oh my goodness, man! It just really depends on.
Just pick 3 then.
3. Okay, Jackson that I have with the EMGs, PRS, and right now my favorite that I am playing is the Wolfgang Special. That guitar plays like butter, sounds amazing, and yeah, I'm just absolutely in love with that guitar. If I could, I wish I could have the whole line of all of them, because out of all the guitars I've played in a very long time, it is the easiest playing neck that I've played.
Cool.
I've played $1,000 Warwick basses, $1,200 PV Cirrus basses with active electronics. I played Music Man's. I've played Fender Jazz, Fender P basses for a majority of my live stuff. But recently, I went back to the bass that I started playing with Jeff 15 years ago. And guess what? I am so happy. It's made in Korea.
Uh-huh.
Epiphone Thunderbird.
Okay. Bolt on neck?
Looks just like, bolt on neck. Looks just like Nikki Sixx, just $1,000 less. You know what I'm saying? But let me tell you something. The Thunderbird bass is not only monstrous looking, but it sounds like a piano. It's just got a tone that I love. I've owned 4 of them. I keep selling them and getting them back. And I'm now going to play a Thunderbird bass forever. I got a Thunderbird tattoo right there.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Now you're committed.
Well, no, I've had it since I started playing.
Okay.
But what it is I started saying, oh, it hurts my back. It's too heavy. It's clunky, whatever. But you know what? Right now, I'm writing some of the best songs of my life with this guy right here on a Thunderbird bass. Don't need no active pickups. Don't need no batteries. Don't need to worry about nothing. And just strap that bass on and rock. I can tune down to C, drop D, go back to standard like that. Sounds terrific. Jeff, what do we got What are you and I working on right now? Did he freeze? Did I freeze?
I think I froze.
It's all good. What are you working on right now, Jeff? What kind of music we doing?
What kind of music are we doing?
Yeah, what are we writing?
Metal.
Yeah, okay.
Metal.
Can you describe it?
So I guess it's like a variant of things that we've all grown up with. Like you mentioned, David, like Motley Crue, that feel. And to be quite honest, when I was looking at things this time going into this, I was like, a lot of times we've done E standard, where you do, you flatten your E for your tuning just to help it a little easier. But it always there was something about kind of like the emotion where I felt like it wasn't I don't want to say sad enough, but it didn't like always to me like just capture that soul. Like what makes it like a Camelot or an Evergrey or some of those bands that really capture that soul. So Motley Crue, what is it that they have? Well, shit, where they're in E, let's drop that shit down to D, right?
Right.
And then you do a complete D tune. So when I went into this thinking about it, I was like, let's try to do this in a complete D tune. It's completely changed our emotion as we've been writing. I think it's easier to connect to. And I don't want to say progressive licks, but like things that encompass, like, I don't know, Megadeth, a little bit Mass Eye, some Masquerade, even going to the 90s, like with McQueen Street. I mean, it's a little bit of all of those.
McQueen Street, yeah.
Yeah, man. A little bit of all of that, except I just think that we're grabbing our souls a little bit more out of this. It's a lot more passion that we're feeling it.
Cool. Sounds cool. Can't wait to hear it.
Nah, thanks, man.
Looking forward
to it. Yeah, us neither. Yeah, we got all these great ideas that we were like, okay, we're tracking, boom. We're going to run with that. And that damn thing will run for 5 minutes. And then we're going to track that. It'll go another few minutes. And then the last one that we did that we were just working on, that was acoustic. That's going to be a great blend of things. When we were recording it, I didn't know how long it is. And that's a problem that I've always had. And it's not even a million solos on this one. That's what's crazy.
Hear that, ladies? His problem is he doesn't know how long it is.
But it was like 7 minutes and 35 seconds. And I was like, damn, that didn't even seem that long, because I was just listening to it and I was like captivated to our own music. And I was like, yeah, that's great. I love when you can be a fan of your own stuff.
Just because it's long doesn't mean it's wrong.
Exactly.
That's what she
I've been
said too.
for years. No, I'm just kidding.
And then we are going to, I'm not going to ask David what he's working on because I already told everybody, but what I do want to say is that if you are interested in Tinseltown, issues 1 through 3 signed, Children's Vampire Hunting Brigade, Losing the Light 1 through 3 signed, you have the complete Children's Vampire Hunting Brigade, the complete series, Fractured Scary Tales. We got a little Lovecraft action going on. Looks like a children's book.
Yeah, that's an anthology. We've got
okay.
in there, but it's a bunch of other creators. It's a real fun book.
Is that a pacifier in its mouth?
Yes, that's a baby Cthulhu there.
Very nice. Well, baby Cthulhus are tight. We got Tinseltown Director's Cut autographs. And again, we have Dame Fortune Music Bundle.
Yep.
$35 with free shipping. And again, get Tinseltown, everybody. Tinseltown is by far my favorite comic. And again, it's not metal. It's not hard rock in nature, but it's ballsy. It's a bit of crime noir. It's just I'm in love with it. I've had David on my show. David and I are kindred spirits, born on the same day.
Married to the same woman. I mean,
married to the same woman. I think you got her tonight, David.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So give her back tomorrow. David's joining us from Hollywood, by the way. He's a Hollywood vampire.
Yeah.
And speaking of vampires, I'm going to show off my vampire a little bit right now. Whoops. We don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want that. Right now, crowdfunding on Indiegogo is Venerella #1, Blood-Fueled Cosmic Rocket Ride. You hear that Ace Frehley reference there, gentlemen? Rocket Ride with a vampire warrior princess from Venus. Actually, that's Paul Stanley, isn't it? We got different packages. Choose from 5 covers or get a bundle. Here's a cover: A, B, C.
I got C.
I figured you would.
And the reason why I got C is because I recognized it as being the tribute to Dave Stevens doing the Vampirella cover.
Yep. It's Dave Stevens' Vampy homage.
Nice.
I thought I did a decent job.
Yeah.
I didn't want to mimic it or ape it. I just wanted to take the pose. And I got rid of the bat because there's no bats on Venus. There are bats in Gotham, though. Also, cover D is specific because it's a variant cover by a gentleman named Tim Tyler, who is an original gangsta indie comic, outlaw comic publisher from the late 80s, early 90s, and he's a good friend of mine. And then we got cover E, the flat cover. All 5 you can get for $30 or 1 for $15. And since we are talking, look, I think I'm making my viewers dizzy by scrolling down or up so fast. We're gonna listen to a little Venerella, Vampire Bride again, ladies and gentlemen. Venerella, a tale of sexy horror and sci-fi fantasy about a vampire warrior, princess from Venus. And this song, written by me, performed by me, and the guy on the screen next to me, Jeff Rankin, in a band called Luna Dementia. The song's called Vampire Bride. Please pick it up today. Back me on Indiegogo so I can order more comics, more prints, more trading cards. This guitar solo is being performed by Jeff Rankin, who is on our panel tonight. And by the way, when you back Venerella #1, I will send you the MP3 of this track for free.
See, now I got to buy it because I got to get the song back.
Oh, okay. See, there's my...
That's the hook.
Yeah, we never put that out physically. We just had it on iTunes and iHeart and Spotify and PlayStation. It was available digitally everywhere all over the world. But then when we kind of shifted to another group, Metropolis Rising, after the time ran out, we took that down because, as all musicians know, it costs money to have your stuff out there. My overlord Trudeau says I have to pay for a test before I can leave your country and return to mine. Lovely. I guess North Free is from Canada, and Justin Thoreau, I guess, is that his name, Justin? Who cares? Anyway, the president, Lord Chief, or whatever of Canada says he has to get a test before. Well, then North Free, don't leave. Stay here in the USA. Come on. And if you're having trouble, just go down to Mexico and come in that way. This has a 90s comic feel in the best way. North Free, thank you very much, because guess what? That's what I wanted it to look like. I am influenced very heavily by She by Billy Tucci, Kabuki by David Mack, Razor by Everett Hartsoe, Lady Death by Brian Pulido and the original artist Stephen Hughes, and a multitude of other bad girls. So, not to mention all the Image shit thrown in. I love my stuff to be compared to 90s stuff. Again, don't know whether you're referring to the comic book or the music. I hope it's the comic book. I don't think we really have a 90s feel in that song with all that shredding. I think we're more Star Spangled Banner bandanas and Cobra Kai Camaros. But anyway, Simply Incredible Podcast, who I actually invited to come on, said I fell asleep. North Free says, Justin, who cares? That's funny. Hail at the Simply Incredible Podcast. Dear me, I love Billy Tucci, She, and Lady Death. Well, North Free, again, She, Kabuki, Razor, Lady Death. David, do you need to leave?
Yeah, I gotta take off. I gotta
No
help my
problem.
son cook something for his
No problem,
health class.
man.
They're teaching him
Yeah,
to be a chef.
you don't want him to burn down the house.
No, that
And
would
by
be
the
bad.
way, now Jeff, not only is David born on the same day as me and is a comic book creator and a musician, but he also has a 12-year-old son. So,
Yeah.
it's like every single thing,
Our wife had twins, obviously.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he's got David has them on Tuesdays. I have them on Wednesdays. But anyway, David, thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Everyone on the chat, please go check out etsy.com/Abacab Studios. Abacab as in the Genesis song, and go get some swag from David Lucarelli, or go to alternacomics.com and order back issues of Tinseltown.
Yeah, and if you're going to be going down to San Diego at the end of November for Comic-Con Special Edition, I'm going to be in Small Press, my one con appearance of the year, P15, and we're going to be doing a panel about working in indie comics on that Friday as well. So hope to see you there. And Jeff, pleasure to meet you.
You too.
Great guitar work, and I look forward to talking to you gentlemen soon.
Hey, before you leave, David, favorite guitarist?
Ace Frehley.
Favorite comic book?
Favorite comic book? Jesus.
Comic book writer?
Alan Moore.
Comic book artist?
Dave Stevens.
Thank you, David.
Have a good night. Actually, no, you know what? I got to take that back. Jack Kirby, then Dave Stevens.
There you go.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks, David. Anyway, that was David Lucarelli coming from Hollywood, California. Check out David Lucarelli, the writer of Tinseltown, and he's got a band called Dame Fortune. Go look him up on YouTube. And then, send him a comment because, just like me, Dave creates comic books. And sometimes it's nice to hear someone say, hey, by the way, I checked out your band. And good song. Anyway, Jeff, speaking of bands, sir, what are you listening to lately?
Right now, today, I've been listening to Masquerade and Masai, The Watcher. Good album. Not listened to very much. I don't even know if you can see it, but
you can now.
Really great artwork. Just great work. I've always liked him. Kind of underrated. And then been listening to Peace Sells, But Who's Buying? One of my favorites of all time. The musicianship on there is just second to none.
Yeah, I've as I said, speaking of Megadeth, I haven't really been listening to Megadeth on CD, but I've been watching this.
That's a great DVD.
And this just rocks my world, this compilation.
Oh, yeah.
Megadeth set is amazing. Shocking as this may seem, I'm listening to Metallica. That's not shocking at all, simply incredible. In fact, I go from where I listen to the old Metallica, but also the last album they put out, so good. What is it? The End of Us All or something or whatever. Anyway, the double album that they put out 2-3 years ago, not Death Magnetic, but the newer album, unbelievable record. Unbelievable. Metallica still writing good music, putting on a good show. And as I said, whatever their last album's called, which I don't remember, the one with the white cover, not Death Magnetic, but the one after that, that is fantastic. And it's a killer record. One of their best records, believe it or not. Pop Culture Avenger, I've been rocking out with the New Maiden, yeah, man. New Maiden, Old Maiden, it's great. Pop Culture Avenger, Jeff, is the gentleman who picked it up after our recommendation when we were covering new metal records that night. Senjutsu, fantastic double record, double LP. Mm-hmm. Great on vinyl, great on CD, great on your Spotify. Just go listen to it. There's a lot of good metal coming out. Dream Theater, did their new album come out yet?
Yeah, that's out. That's streaming.
All right, there you go. pick up the new Dream Theater record, go listen to it. Sword and sorcery stuff. I actually think if you go, and speaking of, you remember I was talking about, the whole Conan and comic book thing. You go look up sword and sorcery playlists on Spotify, and you'll get all kinds of, whether it's Dragon Force or Power Metal or Camelot. I was actually thinking of some Camelot as I was drawing all this shit. So it is what it is. When I sit down and draw again, when I was drawing Misty America, I was thinking about World War II movies and Hogan's Heroes. And then I was thinking of 80s music because I had a whole female Rambo thing going on. Simply Incredible Podcast said, I love Metallica's first 5 albums, Load and Reload. Hardwired to Self-Destruct is what I was getting at. Hardwired to Self-Destruct is an amazing, amazing record. Jeff, man, I'm going to let you go, buddy.
All right, my friend.
Right.
Thanks for having me on.
Hey, Jeff Rankin, just so everyone knows, Jeff Rankin is the guitarist on the song that is on the Venerella crowdfunding page on Indiegogo. It's a song called Vampire Bride. Jeff, myself, and a drummer named Ricardo Melendez. We recorded that song in a band called Luna Dementia a few years ago. It was, I think, 2012. And we put that song out on a record, released it digitally. And the song just fit perfectly with the comic book I was drawing and the trailer. It starts out after Jeff's first solo. But it has the lyrics that are the breakdown, and then another chorus, and then a solo, and it's called Vampire Bride. Vampire Bride. Dylan's a good kid. I think this is one of my my son's friends. So Vampire Bride, Venerella #1, the song that goes with the soundtrack for Venerella. In fact, almost everything Jeff and I wrote in Luna Dementia could probably be on a soundtrack for Venerella #1, my comic book, if it were turned into a movie or a TV show. We have a song called The Binding. We have a song called Too High. We have a lot of cool songs. Jeff has an instrumental called The Undead. It all fits on the record with those songs. Fallen Star. It's got a cosmic space theme. But anyway, Jeff and I are writing and planning to record some new music. We're planning to get a live drummer into our situation and possibly play out if the circumstances are correct. If not, there's no pressure, and we're just enjoying rocking out because that's what creative people do. And that's kind of getting to the gist of tonight's broadcast. Creative people, whether they're in dance, film, music, or the visual arts, painting, drawing, comics, whatever, they're inspired by other mediums. So if I sat and watched horror movies all night and listened to death metal, that might put me in a good mood to draw a sword and sorcery comic book or some sort of very ultra violent comic book. And if I listen to 80s Bon Jovi type hair metal, I might write a superhero book, but as the great Gene Simmons said, in a song off of Songs from the Elder, a world without heroes ain't no world to me, and as I think Bonnie Tyler said, I'm holding out for a hero. Anyway, guys, girls, all folks watching the chat, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification button. And better yet, the music that we talked about tonight inspired my new comic book, Venerella, on Indiegogo right now. Back it. I want to be at 1,000 1,666 by the end of the week. All right. 1,666. And then I got 28 more days to go. So back Venerella #1. Check out, by the way, if you're interested in hearing what Jeff and I have done over the years, please go to YouTube and do a search for Luna Dementia, and also do a search for Metropolis Rising. You can find both of those very easily on YouTube. We have whole channels with a multitude of videos. And if you're on Facebook, go like Metropolis Rising, which still has a Facebook page. And whether we continue with the name Metropolis Rising or come up with another named project, we will have updates on what we're doing available on the Metropolis Rising page, since that was the last band we had a recording contract with Warner Brothers Records on, until Warner Brothers sold our record contract to Elektra, and then there was a bidding war, and then we just said we walked away from it. We walked away from it like Dave Chappelle walked away from $50 million. Anyway, Pop Culture says I need to refresh my campaign. Wait a minute. Let me see what he's talking about, Jeff. Hold on a minute. Let's see what's going on. Let me see. Let me see what's going on here. Wait a minute. Let me refresh the campaign. Oh my God. Nice. Someone bought another original piece of artwork. I bet.
Wow.
It was sweet. Pop Culture Avenger. I'm up to 1274. Well, Pop Culture Avenger, if that was you, sir, or whoever bought it, thank you very much. I am eternally grateful. And the more money you give me, the better product you're going to get. And by the way, you're going to get it either the week of Christmas or the week after. But you'll definitely have the book by January 1st. But the U.S. Postal Service during the holidays is weird. So I'm not going to promise it by Christmas, because you probably won't get it. And all my books, by the way, are printed in the United States of America. So none of my comic books will be trapped on a boat in the river somewhere, in a van down by the river. With that said, I think I'm tired enough that I don't even know what I'm saying. But Jeff, Pop Culture Avenger, The Shape, Simply Incredible Podcast, North Free, everybody that joined me tonight for the chat, Owls, 24 Eyes, 24 AIs, whatever, Matt Barr, everyone that joined us tonight, thank you very much. Have a good night, and stay metal.